Hello everyone, welcome to 3DDesignAcademy.com. In this lesson, we will continue with part 30 of constructing the car project. Okay, so in the previous lesson, we worked on the lower a little bit. So I think I'm going to continue on with that. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to clean this up a little bit because right now I think it's got way too many spans. So let's do a little bit of cleanup over there. Okay, so right now it's got a multi-span surface. It's a simple monorail. So I'm just going to a little. Okay, so first of all, I'm just going to do. Before I do this, so because it's a monorail and it's got a little bit of angle on the surface, so you'll see that it looks a little bit hollow, as you can see right here. So I'm going to try to fix it a little bit. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a fit curve over here, degree 2. Because it doesn't need to be long, I'm just going to maybe do something like that. I think that looks pretty good. And maybe I'll extend it over here too, like that. So right now it's this should be positional because it's a fit curve, and we did match this surface using this curve here. So I think that should be okay. So now let's actually try to do a freeform blend. So position, like this. And instead of doing a edge align, I'm just going to say default on this side too, like that. And I'm going to explicit control, degree 5. I'm just going to give it a little bit of crown. So maybe start with 0.005. And I think that looks much better. So let's compare it to the image. Yeah, just a little bit of crown. I think that should be okay. Okay, so that's good. It's a little bit short here, so I'm just going to extend this piece like that. And I'm just going to make sure that this is exactly positional over here. So that's good. And next step, I'm going to fill this hole right here. So if you see the image right here, it's a cover by, I don't know if this is an actual like a tail lamp, but we do need to fill this area because there's a surface there. Okay, so what I'm going to do is, first of all, I'm going to delete some of the history on these because I don't really need to have them, and I just want to make sure that they stay intact instead of history giving us trouble. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to say on trim, and on the top, I'm just going to delete the history on this too. I'm going to untrim the primary surface, and using freeform blend, position, I'm just going to snap and snap over here like that. And I'm going to say default. This one, you can say default. It doesn't really matter because it's going to get, you're not going to be able to see it anyways. Okay, so give it a little bit of crown. This was a rail. Maybe a little bit more crown. Not quite sure. Okay, maybe not that much. So I'll just say stick with 0.005. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to extend these. And also this one. Well, maybe I don't need to extend it. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to trim these surfaces back to their original shape. And I'm going to grab this one, grab the fillet over here and the fillet down here and the surface right here. Okay, because we already have a fillet on both sides, all you have to do is just connect the dot using a curve and just fill it in with a square. So I'm just going to do this. And same thing on this side. And I'm just going to project. And over here, I'm going to keep and say keep. And the reason why I'm matching these is because if you also see in the image, they follow the exact same line. So you want to make sure that the fillet also matches between the top and the bottom. So using a square, so I'm just going to say 1, 2, 3, and 4. Looks pretty good. Maybe I can reduce it. Looks like even degree 2 works. So that's very clean. I'm going to say delete construction history. I'm happy with what I have. Okay, so now you'll notice that there is a little bit gap. Well, all you have to do is just extend it and trim it. So I'm just going to extend it like this, and using intersect, I'm just going to trim this piece. Now, what I want to make sure is that I know the intersection intersect is a little bit different from the curve that I generated. So all you want to do is just make sure that it's pretty close. So looks like it's a little bit off here. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to, instead of extending, I'm actually going to extend it back, and using a line, I'm just going to, it's a little bit long here. So, oops, what happened? Okay, so I'm just going to say revert, and using a line, actually extend first. Align to the surface, align the surface to the curve, save position, and blending on. And I'm just going to shift this a little bit forward in car, because right now my line over here is a little bit forward of the canvas image. So I'm just going to do the same thing so that it has a similar relation like that. Oh, and when I'm doing this, I want to make sure that it's lined up well here. Well, actually, we're going to use intersect, so I guess it's not too much of a problem. But I do want to intersect these two surfaces to make sure that the inboard line is following closely to this line. It looks like it's a little bit off. I'm going to guess that it's also due to the bottom one being a little bit inboard. So I'm going to say that's, it's close enough. So I think that's pretty good. So if that's the case, I'm just going to extend both sides and just do a trim. And I'm going to intersect here and here. And I'm just going to trim it. And I'm going to just get rid of all the curves, say invisible, and take a look at it and compare it to the canvas. And actually, I think that's pretty close. It's a little bit off, but I think that's pretty good. Okay, I'm happy with that. Yeah, I think that looks pretty good. Okay. So moving on. So like that space has been filled nicely. So I'm going to continue on the fender over here. So you'll notice that there's a little gap. So what happened is we had to remove this curve over here, or the wheel flat, in order to match not only the rear canvas, but to the rest of the vehicle, and make it all more like the actual car. So in the process, I had to move this a little bit more inboard, and that's the reason why we have a gap. So now we need to do some updates. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to make sure that this is untrimmed, and I'm going to align this piece to the new location of the wheel flat. So I'm just going to say align. You can either grab the surface or the the curve. That doesn't really matter. And I'm going to say partial. And right now I have the blending on, extra CB 1, blend factor 1, and I think that's pretty good. So it's really actually quite quick to realign this. Now I do have to realign all the surfaces over here, but I'm going to save that for later because I want to cover some of the area over here. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to try to fill this area over here. Okay, so what I'm going to do is, first of all, I'm just going to go to side view. Okay, and I want to fill the space over here. I think I'm going to start with the top piece over here. So I want to fill this area, and you'll notice that there's a feature line that actually disappears into the fender. So I'm going to try to create that. Okay, actually, let me go to the side view. Let's see. Let me see if I can get an image of the side view and see where I need to do this. Okay, so on the side view, you'll notice that this line starts to disappear around here. So I'm gonna have to, I'll probably do the same thing over here. So I think this, the chrome piece, where the location of the chrome piece is, I think that's a good location to start this piece over here. Okay, so I'm just gonna go back to the model. So I'm just going to do a curve like this, just up and down. And right now we're just trying to fill the hole and see how it looks. So it doesn't need to be like super exact. We're just looking to block in some surface and see how the shape works with the rest of the vehicle. Okay, so I just projected a curve from the side view, and I'm just going to use that to create a monorail. So 1 and 1 like this. And I'm going to use it. I'm going to be using the curve segment tool like this here to snap it over here. So it's a little bit off. Okay, so that's good. So nice and straight. It gives us a nice parallel horizontal highlight. Okay, so that's been filled. And next, I'm gonna, okay. So this one, I probably have to create some surfaces over here. But in the meantime, let's see, it looks like that's a body feature line. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna project this curve. Now there is a chance that I might have to adjust this, but what I'm gonna do is I'm going to, using the project, I'm going to just trim away this piece so that we can control this feature line over here. Now this actually needs to blend into the tail lamp over here, and you'll see that it's a sort of ending up in somewhere in the middle of the tail lamp. So I'll have to blend it in with the rest of the rear. Okay, so I think I'm just going to position it over here for now, and we'll have to adjust it once we get the some of the rear surfaces filled in. Now the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to try to fill this surface over here. This should be a very large slab, and let's see. What I'm going to do is I'm actually going to snap a curve over here, and I'm going to snap a curve over somewhere here. Actually, I'm going to do just a straight up and down. Now it is a straight up and down, and it's a little bit longer than I need. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to use a stretch tool to snap it at this point right here. Oops, I think it went to the, oh, it actually snapped at the curve. So I'm just going to make that invisible. Again, using the stretch, snap it back here, and using a degree 2 curve. Oh, change that to degree 2, and I'm going to give it a little bit of crown. Now, when you see this feature of surface over here, you'll see that there's a little bit of light catcher, which means that you can snap it right here. The curve over here to the feature line, but this one, on the other hand, has to be a little bit inboard to give a little bit of light catcher over here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the stretch tool like this and just move it slightly inboard. And I'm going to try to create a rail using this. So just a simple rail. It's going to have a span in the middle because right now I'm putting the generation curve in the middle of the rail curve, but that's okay. I'm going to just change it to okay. And okay, so the next thing I'm going to do is, because we need to figure out the distance between the wheel fed and this body surface, I'm just going to do a rail over here like this. And I'm going to do a curve segment over here. And I'm going to make sure that the generation 1 is curvature. Now the CV structure might be off, so I'll maybe do a little bit of rotation like this. Now, there's a chance that I might have to just, oh, maybe that's not working so well. So there's a chance that I might have to fix this area a little bit. So maybe I'll just not do rotation and just leave it like that. And if need to, I can just do a fillet over here. So I don't think it should be a critical problem. Now, the next thing I'm going to do is I want to make sure that this surface and this feature line over here also has a nice relationship. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to, actually, I think there's a little bit too much distance between the wheel flat and the surface over here. So I'm just going to, using stretch, pull this a little bit more outward. Now, you'll see that this is such a slight, I guess, a light catcher or a feature. So you also want to make sure that this appears very small. Now, the problem is you'll see right here that we were able to achieve a sort of a reduced amount of, I guess, I don't know if you call this a light catcher, but reduced amount of fender space, and we were able to achieve that. So it goes from wide to thin. I know it's a little bit wider here, but I think we'll probably need to do some refinements later on. Maybe I'll just give it a little bit more crown to reduce the section in the middle. Something like that. And you'll see that the intersecting surfaces, you'll be able to see a nice relationship between the side surface and the fender. I'll just give it a little bit more crown. Okay, and that's good. Now, the next thing I'm going to do is, so you'll see that the relationship between this surface and this surface is not good. It's not aligned, except also it needs to, in which case we have to make it so. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to, now you'll notice that this is actually a little bit off. We created a new curve over here. Oh, this is actually a different curve. Okay, let's see. Oh, maybe it is. Okay. Now I'm just going to delete the history on this and also on this piece over here so that it doesn't create any problems. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to untrim it, and you'll notice that it's a little bit off from the surface that we had before. So what I'm going to do is right now this surface should is a lot more complementary to the other surfaces and also the canvas. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to snap the surface to this edge over here. So I'm going to just untrim this piece over here. And using, well, actually, I should maybe extend this too. Okay, so I'm going to extend this first. So I'm going to say untrim. I'm going to make sure the symmetry is on. And I'm going to extend it just slightly beyond this point. And I'm just going to actually remake the surface. So I'm just going to snap it right here where these two intersect, and delete the curved surface. This surface we no longer need. I don't know if I'm going to keep this angle, but let's use that for now. So I'm going to say just project normal like this, and using the rail curve or a monorail, I'm just going to do a rail. This is going to be position. And okay, so it looks like that's actually creating a problem. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to trim this piece away, because right now the rail is longer than the where the generation curve is located. Oh, actually, we might need to update this too. So you'll see that there's a little bit of height difference. So I'll update that. So I'm just going to delete the curve and surface over here. And because it's a little bit short here, I'm just going to re-intersect. So intersect. And this curve over here needs to be moved up. And this curve over here, which I used to project with, also needs to be updated. Okay, so where did it go? Okay, it looks like this is the curve that I used to project with. So using the stretch tool, I'm just going to snap it over here, and I'm going to reproject. Just gonna grab this one, project this curve on there, like that, and I'm gonna change it to view. Now I'm just gonna make sure that it is snapped right here. Okay, so that's good. Oh, actually, because I deleted the history, I probably need to update this too. Or do I? Okay. Oh, look. Oh, okay. I think it's okay. So I'm just going to trim this piece away right here. And now in the process, I probably want to align this again. Align. I'm going to turn blending off, G2, and I'm just going to make sure that this is edge. Now it's just a minuscule change and you might not notice it, but we still need to make sure it's nicely aligned. Okay, I'm just going to untrim this piece again, and using this edge or the curved surface, I'm just going to create a rail. So monorail, I'm going to grab this piece and the curved surface over here and just do a rail. And looks like we got too many spans. Explicit control on. Now generation curve, degree 3, 4, and the rail curve. Looks like it's position failed now. 3, 4. Okay, looks like 4 will do. Okay, so now that we have this one, I just want to make sure that this also is complementary to this line. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use a rotate. So pressing Alt and dragging the mouse in this box over here, I'm just going to make sure that this is somewhat complementary. I don't know if this should be parallel or it should be shrinking or becoming larger. It probably needs to become a little bit. Well, I think it just needs to be complementary for now, and I'll try to figure out if this maybe needs to be a little bit bigger. So while it needs to like sort of this space needs to increase as it goes along, because we actually have to sort of have this sort of I don't know if I should call it light catcher, or it's sort of this feature that goes a little it becomes larger as it goes towards the rear. So maybe I'll just rotate it a little bit more to maybe give it something like that. Now, that does decrease the amount of space over here. So I think I do need to change the section of this curve over here. So I'll just, using NUV, I'll go back and decrease it like this. So, okay, I think that looks good. And I think I probably want to pop this out a little bit more. So I think there's a little bit too much. Okay, so I think that looks pretty good. Okay, I think this is a pretty good start to the rear. Of course, I would have to make some adjustments, but right now there's a nice nice relationship between the fender and the body side surface, and I think it's also the relationship between this and this is also looking very nice. So next step, I'll probably have to build some of those build more surfaces in the rear and try to connect the rear and the side. Okay, so that's it for part 30. We will continue in the next tutorial, and thank you guys for watching.